In 2017, Nation Building Movement (NBM) launched the Local Administration and Development Program. The program operates on 3 main tracks: Dialogues track, Raise Awareness and Advocacy track, Capacity Building track. Within the Capacity Building track, which includes a number of projects and activities, the series of Introducing the Local Governance Law was produced. The series was directed to members of local councils or those wishing to be nominated and participate in local administration, activists and members of civil society wishing to play their roles in monitoring according to the law. As there are 1,435 administrative units in Syria and more than 18,000 members of these councils, this educational series was produced for use in direct training or remote training, in order to introduce the law and the spaces granted to each of these categories to work. This series is divided into 8 episodes according to the sections and chapters of Decree 107, avoiding any private opinions and individual understandings, considering literal text of the articles that the decree contains to preserve the educational purpose of this project. Local administration cannot be understood by reading Decree 107 separated from the articles and legislations associated with it. Therefore, we have quoted the following articles and laws: Rules of Procedure of the Boards of Administrative Units and their executive offices, the Basic Financial Law of Administrative Units, General Elections Law, the General State Budget Law of Syria, Law of Independent Budgets of Governorate Councils. Each episode was enriched with supporting maps and cognitive additions developed by a group of experts and workers in the local administration sector, which helps to understand the essence of the law and the legislator's purpose of adopting this law. This series deals with a wide range of themes distributed over 8 episodes. In the first one, we will introduce the concept of the local and central authorities in Syria, the division of the Syrian geography locally according to the levels of administrative units, the division of the Syrian geography administratively by regions and districts. We will discuss the functions of the Supreme Council of Local Administration and the National Decentralization Plan. In the second episode, we will address types of local councils, number of members in each, the structure of the local councils, their permanent and executive offices, and their permanent and temporary committees. In the third episode, we will learn about local authorities and their areas of work, competencies and powers of local councils, relation of elected local councils with the executive bodies. We will talk about the roles of civil society and its institutions according to the law. In the fourth episode, we will indicate the governorate, which is the biggest and most important administrative unit, and how governorates are managed between the local and central authorities. And we will learn about the specialization of the governor and the president of the governorate council, in addition to the relationship between them. We will introduce the General Secretariat of the governorate and the duties of its Secretary General. We will draw a map showing the distribution of positions and executive bodies of the local and central authorities. While the fifth episode will be dedicated to the management of cities, towns, and municipalities, where we review the map of job positions in cities, towns, and municipalities, competencies of the heads of city councils, towns and municipalities. Competencies of the executive offices and their local bodies. We will learn about the tasks of city and town managers. We will also learn about Al-Mukhtar and his duties and mechanisms of appointment. In the 6th episode, we will talk about the rights and responsibilities of members of local councils. We will talk about the immunity granted by law to members. Financial compensation for members of local councils. We will discuss the form of the relationship between local councils and executive bodies. In the 7th episode, we will deal with the issue of official and public monitoring over the work of local councils, as we start with a map showing the 2 segments of monitoring, where the first is concerned with ensuring the authenticity of decisions and procedures issued by the local council, and the second segment concerns the monitoring of the performance of members and employees. Review of internal, official and public forms of monitoring and mechanisms of performing the monitoring role over the work of local councils. No confidence antitrust mechanisms for members or councils and cases of local council dissolutions. In the last episode, we will discuss the financial provisions of the local councils, where we will learn about the financial laws that govern the work of local councils in Syria. We will differentiate between the concept of budget and the cutoff of balancing accounts of the administrative units and the procedures of their approval. Differentiating between the concept of the budget of administrative unit and the concept of independent budget of the governorate. Means of financing administrative units and their spending. Producing this series, Nation Building Movement is presenting an example of the efforts and roles civil society can offer to support and complement the government's efforts in the process of development.